archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
We welcome you to our program. Welcome to Studio One.
Malini ji, it's such a pleasure to have you here, and I've heard you sing. You are an enriched human being for being surrounded by not only Indian classical music but also folk music. How do you think this training, your sadhana that you have had for so many years, has helped you hone your talent as a folk musician, as a folk singer?
First of all, let me just share with you that it has been an honor to be here speaking about the folk culture through music that I have seen through my perspective, the way I have seen, the way I have learnt, and share it with an audience who will be probably, they'll feel connecting back to their roots wherever they are when they listen to this program. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be on any platform of All India Radio. I would like to share this again. When you say this, that if I would like to share how did I get into this and how has this experience been regarding folk music, let me tell you, I do come from an urban background. My father is a doctor, and see, I believe one or two generations ago we all came from villages and have migrated to towns, and we all have become urban. But this starts in, I would say, the decade 70s, and my father and my mother were greatly into music, though nobody sang ever, but they somehow had this great zeal that their children should be learning music, especially the daughters, and so it had to be classical music. And that's how I was initiated into classical music. But a part of me, I would be very, very honest and share this with you, that a part of me always connected very strongly to the songs that my taiji, my auntie or my dadi would sing. And people say that the youngsters, particularly the young girls, are not interested when there's a family function. Elderly women get together and sing ceremonial songs, and they don't want to be a party because they don't want to look, dated and old fashioned. Let me share this with you. This was true even in the 80s and 70s, because I remember all my cousin sisters who were much older, they would run away, and my taiji used to be there after their lives, get down and sit at least learn and be a part of the festival. And they thought that they couldn't ever understand what they were singing. Dar ke mare, there was certain fear and command of the elderlies, those commanded those days.
True.
So they would sing. But I recall now, looking back, as a child, I was very keen of such mehfils, and I would try to know what they were singing. So I would, to answer your question, that my formal training in classical music, which is still continuing now, of course, initially with other teachers, Rahat Ali Khan Sahab, Shujat Hussain Khan Sahab of Rampur Gharana, both were with All India Radio. They were the composers with Akashwani. And then Bhatkhande Music University, I did my post-graduation classical music from there. And of course, then with Girija Devi ji, who's a legend, and that continues till date. But regarding folk music, I would say I'm learning even today. Even today, I get a song, I get to meet a folk group who's a traditional folk group. I try to reach out to them. I try to understand what they're singing. I try to inculcate that in one of my performances, and that's what it is.
You just said that you're training under Vidushi Girija Devi ji.
Yes.
And I think we've all heard her and we all look up to her.
Yes.
And I've also seen that she has a very rare sense of humor also.
Yes.
So I just want you to share some of your experiences while training under her. What are those fun things that you've done together with Girija Devi ji?
That's very interesting of you to have asked that, because normally people ask me what it has been like learning from such a legend. But yes, she has a very, very typical Banarsi sense of humor, I would say.
Right.
And people, we are all artists sitting here. Somebody who has been in touch with any Banaras, a legendary musician or any artist coming from Banaras, they all are famous and they are known to have that sense of humor.
Correct.
There is a very particularly very interesting incident I'll love to share. This is 5 years ago, 4-5 years ago. I was staying in Noida and my children were studying here. So my husband was posted in Lucknow. Whenever she used to come to Delhi, she used to stay with me. And so it happened, and it was festival of Holi. So just a week before she had to perform in Delhi, she said, I'm not going back to Calcutta or Banaras, I'm staying with you, we are celebrating Holi together. I said, fine, my pleasure and my honor. And you won't believe that Holi that we spent with her is an affair, an event to remember forever in my memory. She asked me, I want to wear light pink sari.
Acha.
And if somebody is coming from Lucknow, then ask somebody to get a very light baby pink chicken sari. So my mother-in-law was there. I asked her to get the finest chicken cotton sari for her. So you see the likes and you know the do's and don'ts. If it is Holi, she has to wear a light pink. You know, it is not only music. It's so much beyond that you learn from your guru. That you know, just like if I will share, I would have come in a salwar suit to perform here.
Correct.
I can go in a jeans and maybe perform because that's what we all wear. But when you are part of a tradition, a festival, you get in that mood.
Right.
So it starts from there that she wanted a particular sari, a color sari from Lucknow.
Right.
Then 2 other 3-4 disciples, so many of us, we got together. And she said that we will plan an event. We all were taught which Holi, which Chaiti we all have to sing. It was rehearsed well. Now my husband had to catch the flight the same evening and he got delayed. He was supposed to reach at 8 o'clock. This is the same Holi night when the Holi is burnt that year.
Okay.
So next day we have to play colors.
Right.
So suddenly she told me, as soon as your husband crosses that D&D flyover, when he is 10 minutes away from home, let me know. I said, okay. हमने कहा अप्पा जी, I'll go on Hindi because this can be narrated only in Hindi now.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
So I said, अप्पा जी, अब वो 10-15 मिनट दूर रह गए. अप्पा जी, let me just share this with you. We all call her अप्पा जी with respect, fondly. That's how we call her. So हमने कहा अप्पा जी, बस 10-15 मिनट रह गए. बस तुरंत उन्होंने हमसे कहा कि अपनी साड़ी निकालो तुम, क्योंकि आई वेयर सीधा पल्ला साड़ीज. नोबडी एल्स वेयर सीधा पल्ला, आजकल तो कोई नहीं पहनता. नाउ दिस इज सीधा पल्ला, लेट मी, है ना, दिस इज जिसको गुजराती पल्ला बोलते हैं, दिस इज सीधा पल्ला, ट्रेडिशनल पल्ला. तो सुनंदा शर्मा जो बहुत अच्छा गाती हैं, रूपान, हम तीनों की कदकाठी हाइट एक जैसी है. उन्होंने कहा तुम तीनों, हमसे कहा मालिनी अपनी साड़ी निकालो, तीनों को पहनाओ. तो तीनों ने साड़ी पहन ली और उसके बाद सीधे पल्ले की साड़ी पहना करके, यू वोंट बिलीव दिस, ड्राइंग रूम में इतना इतना घूंघट काढ़वा कर हम लोग का उन्होंने हम तीनों को बैठा दिया ड्राइंग रूम में. और हमारी जो बनारसी और जैसी भारी भारी गुलाबी सब उस तरह की साड़ियाँ निकलवाई चटक, और हम तीनों जा कर के बैठ गए. ये दरवाज़ा खुला और अंदर एंटर किए. ही वॉज शॉक्ड, क्योंकि ड्राइंग रूम में हम तीनों बिल्कुल पुरानी बहुओं की तरह से इस तरह से एकदम सर ढके हुए. आई विल टेल यू एग्जैक्टली, यू वोंट बिलीव दिस, इतना इतना एंड लाइक दिस, ऐसे करके हम तीनों बैठे हुए. और अप्पा जी आकर बोलती, आए गईला, अब पहचाना तो बूझा पहले कौन तुहार मालिनी है. तो ये ऑफकोर्स शर्मा गए. तो बोले कि आई जान ला, गलत चिन्हा गई तो ओकरे संग जाके कमरे में रहे पड़ी. अब आप समझ सकती हैं, हम लोग तीनों ये रूप नहीं देखा था कभी अप्पा जी का. हम लोग शॉक्ड हो गए, हंसने लगे. अब वाइफ तो वाइफ, मैं, हम लोग सब हंसे. हम सोच रहे थे कहीं और न पकड़ ले दाएं बाएं, क्योंकि न सुनंदा की शादी हुई थी, न रूपान की शादी हुई थी, मैं ही थी. तो जैसा होना था गलत पकड़ा इन्होंने. सुनंदा का पकड़ लिया और सुनंदा का पकड़ा और इन्होंने बस ऐसे घूंघट पलटा. अप्पा जी बोली, वाह बहुत सही छाटा एकदम, जा 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 तू मालिनी अब देखा इनके बहुत तू लखनऊ छोड़ देला, देखा इनके दूसरा लड़की के चिन्हा गए बुझा गए और बच्चों की तरह से वो होली उन्होंने उसी समय का बुरा ना मानो होली है। और मैंने उस दिन सीखा उनसे कि इस उम्र में त्योहार को जो कहते हैं कि होली मस्ती का त्योहार है, ठिठोली का त्योहार है, वो हम लोग कई किताबों किस्से में पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं, ऐसे होता है। और बड़े लोग उन्होंने वो गुरु शिष्य हम लोग को मतलब माँ बेटी का ही संबंध है, गंडा बांधा, उन्होंने इनको दामाद मानती हैं, लेकिन वो एक सरलता से जैसे 10 साल का बच्चा शरारत करे, वो मासूमियत सिखाने में वही एक गुरु का वैसा पद। तो कई उनके संग इस तरह के ह्यूमरस बड़े सारे इनके साथ बड़े बड़े सारे एक्सपीरियंसेस, आई कैन गो ऑन एंड ऑन।
Malini ji, you are a trained classical singer as well as a folk singer. There is a very thin line that differentiates Indian classical music and Indian folk music. Is there a difference in training? Is there a difference in the voice, the tonal voice, the culture, the technicalities of the voice while training for classical and while training for folk music?
You are right when you say there is a very thin line. But if you look at it from a broader perspective, how it is perceived and seen today, the gap has become huge.
True.
You know what I am saying?
Yeah.
Today, the way you look at classical singers and the way you look at folk singers, that mindset has completely changed. But yes, you are right. Our forefathers, the way people taught us about music, whether it is Shastra or the gurus, they always said there is a very thin line, starting from percussion rhythm to even the ragas. There is a very thin line, but there is a huge difference between what you practice and what you preach.
Correct.
We'll come back at it later because I have a huge grudge against that mindset. People don't really, I feel that folk hasn't got its due. Its due, its respect that it deserves.
Right.
But training, of course, is completely different, I would say. Classical, as it is believed to be so, it is definitely a discipline. Folk knows no discipline. Classical is all about discipline. Classical music is all about what not to do. Folk is all about everything that you want to do. So there's a huge difference in the way it is perceived, the way it is treated, and that's the reason why today even when the youngsters come to me and they ask me how they are trained into classical music and they want to go into folk area and they want to pursue folk, so I tell them that basically that has to come from within, that abundance. Similarly, about that music voice quality and training, that training has helped me. I am not talking about, but it has helped me to take folk where maybe why you have invited me today. If I am able to create that wider audience for folk, I think I have a lot to thank classical music for that. Not taking away that from, but if you look at a pure folk music artist's perspective, that training has to come by living that life, feeling that feel of the soil. You have to connect with those roots, and that training can be like, if you are at home, you are learning from your dadi, you are learning from your chachi. There's a festival, you go there. If you go to the fields, you can hear while rowing these seeds of dhan, you can actually hear ropani and soni when they sow the fields. The farmers sing those songs. It's a part of their life. They are not singing it formally. In fact, when they sit formally and sing, there's a different, they formally enjoy a birha, an alha, a chaita. But there are so many songs, they unintentionally, they don't even realize they're singing. They are doing the grinding the, chakya, and women are singing those songs. They are cutting the crop and they're singing the song. They don't even realize they're singing.
Yeah.
So that training, if somebody is not from that culture, not from village, has to really do a deep research and study of that life. Otherwise, it will remain a song. It cannot become a folk song.
Correct. I get you. Wow. So very well explained, Malini ji. So very well explained. We've known your performances to be really very power packed. And is there a certain thought that goes into each performance? What is the preparation that you do for each performance? Of course, sometimes some organizers have a theme and there is a concept. But what is your approach when you go into a performance mode?
Let me share this with you. A lot of people here have seen me, I mean, they have heard me singing since, I mean, there are people here who have seen me hearing, I mean, they've heard me when I was a kid.
Correct.
There are people here who they've heard me when I was, I just got married. So that was a long time ago, and they know this, that I used to perform like any other artist. I mean, it was just maybe a ghazal, maybe a thumri, maybe a folk song. But somewhere during, I would say 10 years ago, I realized that this has to become a mission. It has to be done with a missionary approach. In today's context, if you are wanting to young generation to connect with folk song, something needs change. It cannot be the old pattern of singing. And when I decided this, then there were a lot of people around me who made me realize that I was trying to attain the unachievable. It was difficult to do. Folk songs in today's modern generation, when people have disconnected with their villages, their roots, who would understand folk song? So the first time I decided, I knew that I was battling against all odds. When that thing comes on your head, then from day one, I knew that it is a fight.
Yeah.
It's just not a normal presentation.
Correct.
So every performance, there is a conviction, there is a force inside me that I want to reach out to my audience. I want them to take to that time frame, time journey that I am. And it has to be done with the extreme zeal and passion. I have to take them there. So there is you can say that it's passion, I would say, is a very small word for
Right.
that. It's a fight constantly, and since I am so motivated, I am so convinced about it, I take my audience also there. So that, because of that conviction within me, I would say that creates that force also inside me, and that passion inside me, that every program is full of energy. And if there is not a theme, as coming back to your basic question, if we are not performing, say, for a Tej or a Kajri or Holi or a wedding theme, then I try to give them a complete picture of what folk is. कि पुत्र का जन्म असल में इसलिए करना है कि देश की सेवा करे वो, और जिस दिन वो देश के काम आ गया तो मेरा उसको जन्म देना और मेरा अपना जीवन का उद्देश्य सफल हो जाएगा. ऐसे गानों को आज की पीढ़ी को बताने में, तो वो अंदर से जब तक आपकी जिद नहीं है, it cannot be pure entertainment. It has to be informant, I would say, information as well as entertainment. और उसके बाद समझाते हुए, in older times, India, we all know that it is one of the, oldest civilization globally, recognized oldest civilizations. When you research folk history, there is a huge literature, an ocean of Sohar literature, and one wonders that why so many Sohars were written. The reason is that each and every child was welcome with all good omens. It was an auspicious,
Occasion,
welcome. Any child's welcome used to be a village reception, not a family's pleasure. It used to be society's celebration. And the reason is that in older times we did not have facilities. There were so many child deaths. Women used to die while giving childbirth, because medical, you can imagine, we have been an independent country only 68 years ago. We all know what was the state of affairs. Today also, I remember when we were young, even in the villages, we did not have complete medical and hygiene facility for every woman that would be, in labor. So we are living in the vaccination times. So it's difficult for modern generation to understand. But in older times, we did not have these privileges. So lot of children could not, properly be welcomed. They used to die either in the womb or after, birth, maybe in 2 months, 3 months, or the mother used to die. So these songs were all auspicious songs to welcome the child with a lot of fanfare and with lot of mangal kamna, with a lot of blessings by the society. That is why Sohar is also never performs solo. Lot of women folk, because it's blessing the mother and the young child. Also, the tradition of worshipping Shiva or the fertility god is also because of that. The main reason is that because, so that everything falls into place. And for India, today it's difficult to imagine, but in older times, I'm sure worshipping Shiva, if you read that book, I'll definitely like to mention Sanskriti ke 4 adhyay by Ramdhari Singh Dinkar ji. He mentions there that the one of the reason why Lord Shiva was worshipped, and he was mainly worshipped in tribal India, and later he got inculcated by the worship by Aryans, and today is the Mahadev, as we all know. And the reason is that in a way, by doing that, we were worshipping the general sanskar, how a child could be welcomed into this physical world free of all physical worries, any pains, any trouble. Because medical, you can imagine, we have been an independent country only 68 years ago. We all know what was the state of affairs. Today also, I remember when we were young, even in the villages, we did not have complete medical and hygiene facility for every woman that would be in labor. So these are we are living in the vaccination times. So it's difficult for modern generation to understand, but in older times we did not have these privileges. So lot of children could not, properly be welcomed. They used to die either in the womb or after, birth, maybe in 2 months, 3 months, or the mother used to die. So these songs were all auspicious songs to welcome the child with a lot of fanfare and with lot of mangal kamna, with a lot of blessings by the society. That is why Sohar is also never performs solo. Lot of women folk, because it's blessing the mother and the young child. Also, the tradition of worshipping Shiva or the fertility god is also because of that. The main reason is that because, so that everything falls into place. And for India, today it's difficult to imagine, but in older times, I'm sure worshipping Shiva, if you read that book, I'll definitely like to mention Sanskriti ke 4 adhyay by Ramdhari Singh Dinkar ji. He mentions there that the one of the reason why Lord Shiva was worshipped, and he was mainly worshipped in tribal India, and later, he got inculcated by the worship by Aryans, and today is the Mahadev, as we all know. And the reason is that in a way, by doing that, we were worshipping the general sanskar, how a child could be welcomed into this physical world free of all physical worries, any pains, any trouble. So there were a lot of songs. In fact, in Sohar alone, we have 10 to 12 varieties and cycles and variations of Sohar. So that's but today again, this is, I would like to add that today people need to understand that by just listening or understanding one Sohar or the text or the literature of it, you can understand our forefathers were so socially so conscious that they retained and preached and forwarded those songs to the younger generation, only those songs that they felt were very relevant for the older generation to understand and continue, because there was a relevance. Like there is a song, Machal rahi aaj mahalan mein dai, jhagad rahi aaj mahalan mein dai. This is about Lord Rama's birth. In Ayodhya, there is a maid, there is a dai, who, the modern, I would say, gynecologist, she has to perform that surgery, and just before the childbirth, she says, I am not doing this. And then there are lines that Ser bhar moti layai Kausalya Rani, Vaho na lay vah dai. शेर भर मोती ले आई सुमित्रा रानी, सूपा भर कपड़ा ले आई कैकई रानी, हाथन की मुंदरी उतारी फेंकई कैकई रानी, Vahav nalle vadai. The dai is just adamant, she won't listen. Now this news reaches Raja Dashrath. He is very surprised that the queens are not able to handle a mere dai. What is so great about it? But he is very, very intelligent. He is a king though, and he is a Raghuvanshi king of Ayodhya. He goes to the dai and to that nurse. For the foreign audience, the dai has to be the nurse. The king goes to the nurse and says that Jo tum dai kuchahu na lai ho, ta lai jao Ram uthai.
क्या बात, वाह वाह वाह.
Because this is the biggest treasure today I have. But if you are not happy with the jewels, with the clothes, that this is the best thing I can have, this is my happiness, you take him, but be happy. You don't walk away from here unhappy. Now that was the dharma. That include everybody, for everyone, no matter, irrespective of which class and which creed, which part of society that person came from. If he is a king, doesn't matter. Today he is a father, and today it's nurse's day. She has a right to just say that I want this, and the father has to do, because he's a merely father, is not a king here. But the dai, the nurse, in the end says, Ram ji ke nar jabahi hum chinbay. The cord, I will disconnect the cord only when darshan dai Raghurai. I know that this is not an ordinary son. I know Narayan has blessed you. So I want to be the first one whom he comes up and blesses. तो मैं काटूंगी तभी जब बाहर निकल के मुझे दर्शन दे के जाए. These songs were sung not in the era of radios and television. These songs were practiced and sung by women who did not know how to write. There were no, Swarlipi, there were no transcript to this, only by oral tradition. Correct. So there were maybe 1,000 songs created. They passed on these songs where they felt there was a value. I always perform this song in front of my stage, in my audience, and I ask them, when you have a childbirth and a maid comes to your house, and you do a deal with her that maybe 2,000 rupees and a sari and whatever, and when she goes unhappy that itna nahi sahib kuch aur chahiye, अरे 1,000 रुपए और दे दा लड़का भाई ले हमके ना दिए जाए. When she does this, you say कि देखो इनको कितना दे दो, इनका मुंह हमेशा बना ही रहता है. But the pleasure is in giving, because every society, in older times, in Hindu religion, why we say that every part of society was respected. Here Dashrath has no ego, and in all humility he goes and begs to the nurse. Now that is a teaching. As a father, are we able to do to our helpers? We are not. That's a part of teaching that our forefathers did by these folk songs. They were not merely celebration songs. That is what I want to say.
Yes. Since we are talking about women, and since you've also been a part of a lot of women-centric issues,
yes,
and I want you to just talk about that. And have you made any specific compositions on your own? And what are the kind of songs that go for such issues that are related to women? Be it domestic violence, be it abuse, be it anything.
Something very funny. You will be surprised when I tell you, this is a fact, that in older times women sacrificed a lot. They were suppressed a lot. They had to adjust a lot. I mean, women never got to go back to their maternal home once they were married. They had to seek permission. At times they couldn't meet their brothers for years, their husbands for years. There was a long longing for 12 years. So they have had very difficult times. And there are many tragic folk songs. In fact, if there is a huge ocean, again I would say, of long sufferings, but you will be surprised, the songs that are practiced and that popular don't talk of sufferings. If a farmer is singing, he will sing सोने की थरिया में जवना परोसा. किसके पास सोने की थाली होती थी उस जमाने में? लेकिन समाज में कल्पना यही थी कि जो कुछ है वो सब बड़ा सुंदर है, जो कुछ है वो परफेक्ट है. जो भी उपमा दी गई, चांदी का गिलास मड़ई में जिसमें पानी टपक रहा है, वहाँ कहाँ चांदी और सोले की, लेकिन सेज है तो गानों में बेला चमेली की ही सेज आया है। तो ये सारे गानों में प्रशंसा की गई है, ताने आने ज़रूर दिए हैं। जो आजकल लोग कई बार कहते हैं कि इस तरह के सफरिंग्स के, जो सफरिंग्स थी वो सिर्फ 2 तरह की थी, 3 तरह की, सोशल इश्यूज़ में थी। माता पिता का वियोग, भाई से न मिल पाने का वियोग, सास और नंदों का उत्पीड़न, या पति का सौतन के पास चले जाना। दीज वर 6 सोशल इश्यूज। बाकी महिलाओं ने अपनी कोई बड़ी से बड़ी पीड़ा, यस आई विल, in fact you said that have I created something,
yes,
and relating to what she has just you have asked, the first thing that came to my mind was that when I started my research, I realized there were no songs dedicated to women. Child birth पे लड़कों पे सारे गाने, लड़की पे है ही नहीं।
अच्छा,
सारे सोहर लड़के के पैदा होने के हैं। तो पहला काम मैंने ये किया कि मैंने लड़की के पैदा होने का सोहर बनाया।
क्या बात है, क्या बात है, क्या बात है, वाह, बहुत अच्छा। I also, now that we are talking about your performances and the work that you have done, I don't know how many of us know that she's also worked in collaboration with medieval pundits.
Yes.
So that was a complete, going away from tradition. And so, how has your experience been with medieval pundits, and what is it that you did with them? We'd just like to know.
I got a call from the famous music director Salim Suleiman one day, and of course, I mean, we all love Salim Suleiman. They have done fantastic work, and the films that they have done, especially Door and all, Chak De. I got a call from Salim, and he said that I just love your voice. I was surprised when he has heard me, because these are Bombay people. He said, Gaurav Raina, have you heard of a band called Medieval Pundits? I said, yes. I had not heard much, frankly, but I said, yes, 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 tell me. He said, Gaurav Raina wants to meet you, and they are doing an album, Hello, Hello. So there's a song, and they want a free, your kind of Sufi and folk voice. So I said, fine, and then we met, and in fact, I recorded in Salim Suleiman's studio only for Medieval's first album. So these guys came, and it's very different with modern musicians, it's very different to work with them, especially with freestyle artists like us. I would say it's a challenge, and it's a different experience. How do I explain that? And they said that, can you sing something in Bharati for us?
Achha. Okay.
I said 100 things in Bharati. You tell me what. He said, I'm looking for something from Kabir. Okay. I said, okay. And then I sang one Nirgun for him. And they just gave me one cue in synthesizer. Not only on synthesizer, on machine, on their computer. And they said, just sing on click. I performed on click, and I could do it. And then 20 days later, they sent me a mail that how does your song look, and it was a completely changed song. Really? So that was the first song in the album. Then we again worked for the second album. Again they asked me that sing a thumri for us in Pilu or in Pahadi. So even with Medieval Pundits, I was doing my thing.
Correct.
Performing thumri, but they completely give it a new dimension by giving it an electric feel. What I have loved most with them, that are performing in Blue Frog. I have loved performing with them in Sunburn Festival in Goa and Bangalore, in NH Festival, Weekender Festival in Greater Noida. Those experiences, performing live and singing in track is something I've always hated. I can never sing on track. So live singing in front of those band and completely young artists. I'll share something very interesting. We had performance after Blue Frog Bombay. We had a performance in Delhi Blue Frog. This was last year. So when Medieval Pundits announced that now we have the great Malini Awasthi ji with us, there was some cheers crowd when I had performed my bit and I was leaving. The crowd started, and there was a photographer from a very leading newspaper, and there were so many people. And I wear a different dress also when I perform with them. I wear a long skirt and it's a different. So they said, you are the one who wears lehenga. You are Malini ji. I said, yes, I am. Said, but this was out of the world. We have seen you doing completely different, but you are a rock star here. I'm like, I'm a rock star there too. That's for a different audience. So it feels nice, particularly my son. I always feel, he adores medieval Pandits' work. And what I like about medieval Pandits compared to other band is that their understanding of music is very good. They have done good music with always the content and the kind of work they do is always raga or the classical music oriented. Right. And they have never asked me that try to put this note here, do this. They have asked me to be myself.
Right.
So I love their work. It's been wonderful. I've sung for them film also. They did a film soundtrack where they were doing lot of old film songs, and I had sung that song from my favorite song from Piya Ka Ghar, Ye Jeevan. Every folk song is in fact a story to tell.
Absolutely.
Any folk song is not merely few lines created to entertain an audience. They are stories. So your method of singing that song is also to be telling that story. What is that story? Suppose if I am singing a very famous song, Relia Byron Piya Ko Liye Jaye Re, or my favorite song, Saiya Mile Larkaiyan, or Kahe Ko Byahi Videsh. If I don't tell, even if it is a foreign audience, I have been lucky and very, very privileged that I have performed in most of the countries, and people have loved me. Not only the Indians living there, but also the country natives, when they come to listen me. People have to be told, people have to serve. First of all, what I do, suppose I have to perform a Kajri, anything. About a Kajri, I will tell them, first of all, I am going to present a song, a monsoon songs, songs of rains. You will wonder why this song, I am going to present this song. So you have to understand that in India, we are an agriculture country. In our country, for the farmers, the blessing, rain is blessing. Rain is God. Good rains means good harvest. Good crop will fetch them good money. Good money would mean, getting off with their, responsibilities, marrying off the sister, getting the house constructed, doing anything. Rain is celebration. So rains, it's celebrated. So lot of forms of Kajri Jhoola. I will first explain that. Then I will sing a particular song. Suppose I am singing, कैसे खेलन जैबू सावन मा कजरिया बदरिया घेरी आई नंदी कैसे खेलन जैबू सावन मा कजरिया बदरिया घेरी आई नंदी. I'll tell them that this is a song between two sister-in-laws, the wife and the husband's sister. Now these two are famous for not getting along well. Be it any social status of the world, they are not known to get along well. The husband's wife, the bhabi, says, it's dark and it's raining, it's not safe to be out alone, don't go out. And the sister-in-law says, bhabi, whether it rains or not, I don't care, I have to go. Now this is something even a modern girl will understand. A mother telling her, Delhi is not safe, don't go out alone. A girl would say, I have my coaching, training, I will come back late, mummy. Nobody can sit home, we have to all work, So it can be contemporized, the style has to be different. तू त जात हऊ अकेली केहू संग ना सहेली तू त जात हऊ अकेली केहू संग ना सहेली गुंडा रोक ले है तोहरी डगरिया बदरिया घेरी आई नंदी छैला रोक ले है तोहरी डगरिया बदरिया घेरी आई नंदी कैसे खेलन जैबू सावन मत जरिया बदरिया घेरी आई नंदी. The sister-in-law says, well, I don't like the way you're talking to me. भौजी बोली ऐसन बोललू सुन के जिया पे लागे गोली, भौजी बोली ऐसन बोली सुन के जिया पे लागे गोली, कितने ताकत हुई है तोहरी डगरिया बदरिया चाहे पर से भौजी, हम तो खेले जाए भौजी कजरिया बदरिया चाहे पर से भौजी, हम तो खेले जाए. Then the sister-in-law relaxes and she says, when they are friends of course. This one teases, forget about me when you were young. Tell me, were you not you used to go around freely? I'm sure when you were young, you must be traveling alone. Now you are putting all the restrictions on me. She doesn't like it. When she says that you are hurting me, she answers back, कितने फांसी चढ़ के मर गए, कितने जहर खा के मर गए होए, वो कितने फांसी चढ़ के मर गए, कितने जहर खा के मर गए, कितने फांसी चढ़ के मर गए, कितने जहर खा के, कितने पीसत हुई है जेल में चकैया बदरिया नदी, कितने पीसत हुई है जेल में चकैया बदरिया घेरी आई नदी, कैसे खेलन देखो सावन मांगे करिया बदरिया घेरी आई नदी, हम तो खेले जाए भौजी कजरिया बदरिया जाए से भौजी.
बहुत अच्छे.
बदरिया. Now this is the classical training. घेरी आई नदी हो बदरिया घेरी आई नदी हो बदरिया घेरी आई नदी, बदरिया घेरी आई नदी, बदरिया घेरी आई नदी. So, not only to the foreign audience, I would say that today a large number of metro audience has also become foreign audience. So, to be able to connect to them,
Yes.
that's the reason I completely transformed my style. I thought first I have to look like a folk singer and then try to enter there in their mind. It's become an audio visual medium today.
Yeah.
I have to look, act, behave when I'm performing on stage. If somebody has seen my live show, I hardly speak Hindi. I speak in dialect. I speak in Banarsi, in Bhojpuri or Awadhi only, Desi only. Because unless that happens, I can't get into that body language. And unless I'm not in that body language, it will remain a song. It cannot become a folk song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, a lot of people ask me if I'm a trained dancer. I've never learned dancing. Never. Those people, a lot of older people, I mean, they're surprised. Umrao ji is here. He's seen me as a kid in Gorakhpur. Prem Shankar ji was in the staff. He used to teach Kathak and he used to tell me that you lead your school from in the competitions and you walk away with the first prize, you choreograph and you dance and you at least learn so that things can get systematic. At least fourth year वगैरह कर लो. हमने कहा पता नहीं कैसे भगवान की देन कभी नहीं किया. And dancing at this age on stage in front of 1,50,000 I never imagined. But this is again because of that passion, that if I am performing a Kajri, if I am performing a Dhobia, if I am performing a Banna Banni, unless I make somebody sitting in Delhi and Surat and Ludhiana that forget this is not a stage, this is your Angan, wedding is taking place right here, I am singing Banna for you. Unless I create that, and this cannot be unless I let my body, mind loose.
Correct. Absolutely.
That gets me to act, to dance, to just create that complete atmosphere and the aura
Yes.
of that song. So and secondly, just people today, it's a very difficult thing to do, because just the other day I was performing and suddenly people said, well, we want to hear a Sufi from you. There was this crowd in Delhi. I said, रुक जा भाई, बिरहा गाए, बिरहा के बाद सूफी. तो मैंने कहा अच्छा 1 मिनट रुक जाओ, 2 मिनट हमने तुरंत लिया, because for Sufi it's a different
feel altogether.
Exactly. But then again, that body language and that feel has to be there. So God has been kind, and somewhere He has helped me in my, I would say, whatever, a lot of people want to do so many things, but God has to be at the right place to, वो जो 6 इंद्रियां है ना, उनको जगाने के लिए आपका हाथ, पाँव, मुंह, वचन, बुद्धि सब काम करे. ये बिना ईश्वर की कृपा के नहीं होता, हम चाह कितना भी ले. तो ये कुछ है तो ये सब ईश्वर की कृपा है. जो भी है.
क्या बात. Malini ji, I wanted to also ask you about, you've performed at Jahan-e-Khusro also, and we've all been there, attended that festival. Can you share some experiences of Jahan-e-Khusro? Is there anything that has kind of touched a chord in your heart?
It has been
you must have had many such experiences.
No. You are right when you asked that question. Okay. I would definitely, in fact, I'm happy you asked, because it's an experience to be associated with Muzaffar Ali Sahab and Jahan-e-Khusro. I will definitely, and more so because I'm from Lucknow, and I always give it to him. The way he has showcased Awadh and Lucknow in the films, I think after Naushad Sahab, nobody has done that level of justice to, at least film world. Nobody has done that the way he has. And his understanding of poetry, literature, and visually to reach out to your audience is on a different, because he is of course, he's a filmmaker, right. He is a cinematographer, he thinks differently. It has taught me a lot, mostly and mainly most importantly, it has helped me, and I will like to take you back in memory lane. In fact, my initial training with my ustads, they were both Muslims, Shujaat Sahab, Rahat Ali Khan Sahab. I've had training from them, and they were extraordinary ghazal singers and composers. In fact, my first A grade was in ghazal singing only. I'm A grade ghazal. In fact, till date, I'm not A grade in folk. But the words.
That's the irony.
It's an irony, because I got busy. I have not been to the radio for auditions. But trying to give you what it used to be. I was known for my ghazal concerts. You are sitting here, you've heard me in Allahabad, Akashwani concerts. I was invited for ghazal concerts because there are very few people with good pronunciation and diction in Urdu.
Right.
That was thanks to my ustad, because I was very young when I was initiated by them. I was 10, 12 when I did not know ki acha qatil kehna hai, qatil kehna hai. Because we came from a very orthodox Brahmin family where, there was no emphasis on the language as much given. Although I would say most of the people from Lucknow have superb command in the language, irrespective of, Lucknow has beautiful language. But it was because of then my Urdu was very good. And I felt that unfortunate part of it was Madhviji. Both my ustads died untimely deaths. They went too early. And there was a big vacuum in my life. And of course, I initiated into Banaras Gharana, classical, Thumri and folk. And Muzaffar ji, of course, we knew because we were from Lucknow. He had heard that I was singing. He had never heard me singing. One day, he heard me sing a Kabir Nirgun at a function. Next day, my husband said, Muzaffar Ali ji wants to speak to you. So, I was so happy. I said yes. He said, you are performing for my Jahan-e-Khusro next season. So we will prepare some Hazrat Amir Khusro Sahab's Awadhi Rachna. Awadhi. I said, my fortune, because I went to meet him. He said, can you also sing something in Urdu? And they are very curry Urdu in Farsi. Farsi. हमने कहा कि आप हमें दें, मैं कोशिश करती हूँ. The moment he heard me just orate those lines, कि folk and Sufi colors are not very different from each other.
True, very true.
They are both about connecting souls.
Right.
They are both can be performed only with a very clean ruh. Folk performers, if you met, they're such simple people. Not you folk song can come out. You listen to the raw performers.
Yeah.
They sing like as if it's a flow of Ganges, because they're very pure people. Similarly, anybody can sing Sufi. There are a lot of misinterpretations going on these days in the name of Sufi.
Yes.
But you listen to a pure music, a very pure soul can only render a beautiful Sufi rendition. So there I feel they are common, folk and Sufi. Because दोनों के लिए दिल से रूह से गाने की ज़रूरत है. दोनों में आपको ये नहीं सोचना है कि मेरी आवाज़ फट रही है, मुझे अब ये देख रहे हैं, मुझे वहाँ पे दिखना है, मैं क्या पहने हूँ. दोनों में आपको दीन दुनिया छोड़नी होती है. वो पा लिया तभी दोनों, वहाँ पे मुझे दोनों एक लगते हैं.
I just wanted to, it's a very personal question that I'm going to ask her. In folk, we've heard Dadra, we've heard Kajri, we've heard Chaiti, we've heard a Sawan. Since I'm also a student of music, I just want to know, is there is the training different for each? आप समझ रही हैं ना what I'm trying to say. So I just want to know, when one is learning a Dadra, or when one is learning a Thumri, or when one learning a Kajri, is the training different? Is it separate from just a folk song?
This is All India Radio
First of all,
Archives recording.
I would insist that there are two types of Kajris.
Okay.
We should not mix folk Kajri and the one that semi-classical artists sing.
Correct.
In both the varieties, it's very easy to learn, I would say. A composition is always easy to learn.
Yes.
Because Kajris are simple compositions, very simple. They are mostly in Des, in Sorat, in Sarang, in Tilak Kamod, these rags. They are very beautiful rags. So it's easy to learn and to hum. खास चीज़ है असर. उस लिहाज से मैं कहूँगी सबसे मुश्किल है ठुमरी.
Right.
सीखना और गाना भी.
Right.
In fact, I can go to that extent that it's very easy to learn classical rag. It's very difficult to learn a thumri and perform.
Correct.
Because thumri has a very limited 4-line composition.
Yes.
Where you have the job in hand is to convey the meaning of what the composer is saying, and you don't have a dancer to support you.
Yes.
So you are just performing, and I feel that it is most difficult to learn and to convey today, and this is the reason why you find there is a dearth of thumri singers today. Although whenever you have a thumri event, it's a packed house because people want to hear.
Yes.
They don't get to hear good thumris.
When Sanjeev introduced you, he told that you were working for the revival of folk. Well, folk is like a continuous flowing river, and river in spate. So it sounds a bit of an oxymoron how we revive folk. Would you please tell something?
You're right when you said that, but I feel we are, in a history of say 100,000 years, 5,000 years, last 1,000 years, our civilization, it has not changed the way the world has changed in last 100 years, 200 years. Ever since the electricity came, everything has changed. We are living today in the world era of globalization. I still feel when we read about the times where our fathers and forefathers have led, will be very, very close to the kind of life maybe 8 generation or maybe 14 generation. ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं था उस ज़िंदगी में. इस ज़िंदगी में 2 पीढ़ी में फ़र्क आ गया है. Life has changed in last 60 years, 70 years. Globalization has done great deal of good to the world, but it has really endangered, it has destroyed the identities that we are losing that because of globalization. Everybody will move out in search of good life for their job, for their work. What they are leaving behind is not only their identity, their culture, their tradition, but also the sad part is not only getting uprooted, because we find lot of diaspora in Mauritius, in Fiji are still there and they feel very connected to our roots. They haven't changed. But in our society, for various reasons, because we have had British colony, we were colonized country, because of post independence the kind of social aura we have imposed on us, that has somehow created a social stigma against, if somebody is rooted to being very dialect friendly, village friendly, culture friendly, he is considered to be old fashioned. This is the stigma. People have made him conscious. If you are speaking in Hindi, that means, okay, Behanji, you know. Now this is something which is changing now. I am very happy in last 2-3 years we have seen that we have a Prime Minister who's changed this. Let's feel good about it. We have a Prime Minister who's changed this perception. It was the first time we've had this. We have Mr. Amitabh Bachchan who's changed this. We have to thank these celebrities who took pleasure in talking in Hindi. I am talking in dialect, Awadhi and Bhojpuri, in an era where we have a modern Hindi. Hindi also has a history of 100 years. So when you are talking about a bygone era, when you are talking about the times which younger generation has not seen, talking of reviving is just not in the context of that song. It's a lot to do with the social structure also. In fact, I have to give it to the modern generation today. They are very rational, very intelligent. They want to understand, they appreciate, they respect. And in one of the performances in very extempore, I was in mood and somebody said that they were asking, I was in Bangalore, they were doing this lecture demonstration. Somebody said, Madam, we respect you, but we wanted to just understand what is the relevance today. You know what I answered? I said, stop studying history, archaeology, anthropology, sociology, social sciences. ये सब सब्जेक्ट्स भी खत्म हो जाने चाहिए फिर. यदि फोक म्यूजिक इररिलेवेंट है तो इतिहास का पढ़ने का कोई मतलब नहीं, जो गुजर चुका है 5000 साल पहले और कल क्या हुआ, परसों क्या हुआ. Folk music is not a folk song merely. Every folk song is a study. It's a social science. True. So if you respect a folk song, and why, again coming back to your first question you asked me, that this was the reason I felt that I have to stop. Otherwise I was performing Thumri, Ghazal, everything. When I got into this area, I thought this is a job. Maybe God has destined me, I have to do this. So whoever has heard me, I don't only do plain singing. I talk about those songs. Because when you go home, maybe you will not remember those songs, but those lines you will remember.
There is a Sohar sung by Muslim women in old days. Have you come across that? It says Kishan jaisa lalla dena more Allah.
Wow,
have you come across that?
No, I have come across a lot of songs of Mirasans.
Ma'am, you're doing some commendable work as far as folk songs are concerned. Now, as far as carrying this legacy forward is concerned, have you thought about it? Do you teach? Are you planning to open a school? What are your plans for the future so that the future generations also, are enhanced by listening to folk songs?
Frankly, very honestly and in all humility, I will accept. I never thought that this is how I will be perceived one day, I never thought. That was never my idea. That was never my goal, to be very honest. And I feel overwhelmed when people say this. Now I've started teaching. Thumri, I'm teaching semi-classical, not folk. Because for folk, a lot of people who come to me, I feel the first condition of learning folk or to understanding folk is children either from that background or same madness as mine. Otherwise, they will learn some compositions and go back. Thumri, I know, वो मेरे ऊपर एक गुरु का ऋण है. उन्होंने बताया है, गंडा बांधा तभी विद्या आई है, मुझे भी देना है. It has to go on, it has to pass on. बाकी जिसकी जैसी अपनी मतलब सामर्थ्य वैसे लेके जाए. But folk में not only a school, college. My dream now is to have a world-class heritage institution in Delhi. You don't have one for folk in Delhi. World-class folk heritage where we can keep archives of folk, of various folk artists from pan-India, their understanding, where the lecture demonstrations, they can go and teach, वो सिखा सकें, depending on whichever dialect people want to learn. It's a larger dream, a very big dream. लेकिन I'm not selfish. So anybody else, if he is planning to be, wants me to be a part of it, I'll love to be.
Thank you very much, ma'am, on that note, and we wish you all the
much success in the future, because it is something that the world needs, that India's folk music and tradition gets carried forward in this way, so that anybody who attends an hour of your concert becomes a believer, as they say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to thank All India Radio, and this is an international audience. They are listening to me. Wherever I go, I find there are so many takers, so many believers in traditions. In fact, more modern generation wants to believe in traditions, and they want to understand. This is a rational audience. They want to understand and then want to follow you and believe you.